Hi all, Hipper here. It's been a long time since we've had a battleship here on the channel, and this is primarily a cruiser channel, but it doesn't mean I don't feature battleships. Today we are taking out the Scharnhorst, and I think this is probably one of my favorite battleships. It's just such a good all-rounder. It's fast, it's quite maneuverable, it has quite quick reload, and it has torpedoes, which I love. I love torpedoes on battleships. In this battle here, I am running the Azure Lane Scharnhorst commander, and I think she's a really good fit for the ship, obviously. As an inspiration, I have Gleaves that gives me a bit longer torpedo range, almost 7 kilometers. And I'm not showing it in this battle here, but that's actually a really good inspiration to pop on this ship here. Because what it means is that if you're facing another Scharnhorst or a Gneisenau, you'll be able to fire your torpedoes first and then turn around before the other player is able to do it. It's actually a massive advantage because a lot of times when I play Scharnhorst, I face off against another Scharnhorst, and it usually ends up with us just torping each other. But if you put Gleaves on as an inspiration, you have the upper hand because you have almost a kilometer more range torpedoes. So it's definitely something to try out. And for this game I have the Arctic camo on Scharnhorst. I used to have the black Scharnhorst as well, and I used to play that, but I actually sold that ship because I thought, what is the point of having two Scharnhorsts? And really, there is no point. I believe Scharnhorst was my second premium I ever bought in this game. The first was Indianapolis, and I think Indianapolis was the first premium available actually. I can't remember anymore, it's been a few years. But Scharnhorst was definitely a great buy back then, and I think it still is. It's still one of the best all-round battleships, especially because it's at tier 6 and not tier 7. I think it is in a really sweet spot. Even if you get up tiered, it's not that much of a problem. Of course, you cannot outgun the big tier 7 boys battleships because Scharnhorst only has 281mm guns or something like that, but it's still a very, very powerful ship because it's so hard to sink, especially if you have a lot of heals. And as you can see here, it's a really good battleship to face destroyers in because it's so maneuverable and agile. And I don't even have an agile build on it here. Sometimes I do have that with Lutyens, and you can get the rudder down to about 8 seconds and the speed up to 35 knots. That makes the ship a lot of fun to play. So here we have a destroyer that thinks he's going to cap, but obviously that's not going to happen because I'm just heading in there to give him a lesson. And his friend is desperately trying to to dissuade me from doing that by shooting at me, but obviously I have the upper hand here because he already spent his torpedoes, and of course I also have torpedoes, and I'm going to use them. And this is the most entertaining part about Scharnhorst. It is those torpedoes there. I mean, most people forget about them in the heat of the battle, and you can just totally turn the tables of an engagement by making good use of them. Like for example in this situation here where I got rid of the destroyer and I pretty much saved the cap. On the other hand, the dispersion is absolutely awful on the ship here, and if you know my videos, then you know I appreciate a ship that actually hits what you are shooting at. And unfortunately, you can't really say that about Scharnhorst. It is really inaccurate, even with Azure Lane Scharnhorst commander that ups the accuracy, and I also have Cunningham on as a second inspiration here. And still, the ship here is just not accurate at all. So it can be a very frustrating experience if you have like a sweet, juicy cruiser broadside lined up and you take whole AP broadside and not a single shell hits at like a distance of 5 to 7 kilometers or something like that. It's just, it can be infuriating. And I think that's why I've given battleships, and especially Scharnhorst, a bit of a break for a while, because part of the fun in this game here for me is to line up like really punishing shots and like take advantage of the mistakes other players make. And that's also why I don't like that we have so many overpens on cruisers in this game. I really think that has gotten out of hand, and it just allows players in Ochakovs and Clevelands and Wichitas to get away with like just ridiculous stuff that there's no way you should be able to do. And yeah, I get the odd overpen should happen, so you cannot always completely rely on taking out ships. But I think they are a little bit too numerous, at least at the moment. I don't really remember it being this bad before, and I guess it's just down to the ships that are available in the game now. Back in the beginning, when it was just Mogami and Baltimore and yeah, ships like that, there wasn't really that problem with overpens, because they're quite heavily armored, and it is like if you show broadside in those ships, you are going to get punished, especially by a battleship. It's just the more recent ships I have a problem with, like Cleveland, Wichita, Ochakov, like I mentioned before. I think they are hurting the game, honestly, because they go like against the grain of what this game is about, and we'll see what happens down the line. But like it's just not good for a game when it's so inconsistent. When you set up like a perfect broadside and you you bet everything on coming out from around an island and citadeling this cruiser that has like 5% health left, and you get all guns on target, and every single hit is an overpen. That is just not fun. And that's also why I did in my difficulty video why Ochakov, Wichita, and especially Cleveland, they are just ridiculous ships, and yeah, I find no challenge in playing them. If you just stick to the back and fire HE, you'll be able to score 150,000 damage without breaking a sweat. You may not kill a lot of ships, but and you won't really do anything useful, but yeah, you get a lot of damage. And like I said before, you can just get away with stupid stuff. So I really think those ships are probably cruisers for people who really don't know how to play cruisers, I guess. And in a way I can understand that. It's a way of getting players to actually have a go at cruisers at the higher tiers. But in the end, I think it's probably doing more damage to the game than it is helping these players out. But we'll see how it goes in the future. Now, you're probably not going to get any overpens on Scharnhorst, because this is one tough ship. Citadels, on the other hand, is quite a different topic, because obviously Scharnhorst has the turtleback armor, and it is, like I said, heavily armored. So penetrations are quite easy to get on Scharnhorst, and that's why, for example, a Hipper that's firing all its 8 guns at the upper belt or the superstructure of Scharnhorst can do massive damage without actually getting a citadel. So that's just something to keep in mind about Scharnhorst, and Gneisenau, and Tirpitz, and Bismarck for that matter. So in many ways I play Scharnhorst like I play Hipper, except I'm not as aggressive because it doesn't have sonar. But in setting up situations like this one here, where you want to be able to get at this Queen Elizabeth's broadside here, I do the same thing I do in Hipper. I just fire one set of torps to make sure this battleship here turns the way I want him to turn. And because the rudder is quite fast on Scharnhorst, you can like just be a really naughty boy here and show broadside and fire your torpedoes, and then quickly turn in and protect your soft sides. And doing this here, I cannot. Well, I have prevented this guy from turning towards me because obviously I launched my torps, and then I can get a very good shot at his broadside there. And I get another opportunity with the other torps, of course, but the first set hits him and takes him out. So it's plays like these that are so much fun in the German battleships, and they really are the battleships I play the most. Yamato I play a lot as well, but that's it, because I really need the torpedoes to have fun in battleships. Sitting somewhere and like in the shadow of an island and shooting a salvo every 30 seconds, that just it makes me fall asleep, honestly. I can do it in Yamato because it's just such a punishing battleship, and that makes it like a little bit more fun than the other ones. But to really have fun in a battleship, I need torpedoes, and I need it to be fast, I need it to be agile, and that means pretty much the German battleships. And I never have a secondary build on these ships here. Sometimes I dabble in it on Bismarck because really it's the only one where it makes sense. But I don't really think that it's worth it. Unfortunately, it is a fun mechanic, and it is fun when you really get a lot of damage from those secondaries. But to rely on it in the game, nah. And another thing is I much prefer Tirpitz over Bismarck because, like I said a few times now, Tirpitz has torpedoes and Bismarck obviously doesn't. And as fun as the secondaries are, well, those torpedoes are just a much better option in most cases. So here we have the last Gneisenau, and that makes it our 4th kill here. And that's why I picked this video here, because like myself and this other guy in the team, we pick 4 kills each. And I like Scharnhorst and I like playing it, but I still much prefer cruisers, and especially Hipper instead of Scharnhorst. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you out there.